Hi, this is another Harry Potter book review. If you haven't seen my first two, I've reviewed the first two books so far, then I'll put the links up in the corner or in the description. But yeah, today I'm going to be reviewing The Prisoner of Azkaban, the third book in the series, and I think one of the best stories of the series, but I'll get to that. So I keep making all of these Harry Potter videos ridiculously long. Like, I always want my book reviews to be short, especially if I'm just reviewing one book. I want them to be fairly short. I don't want someone to have to sit there for 25 minutes and just listen to me talk about one book. With Harry Potter, I always end up having so much to talk about that the videos just get insanely long, so I'm gonna try and cut to the chase with this one. So, I'm in my comfy chair again. I have my Hufflepuff top. I have my Easter egg, thanks Mum. I have my blanket and my book, and I'm just having a cosy day today. I'm looking forward to it. It's a cosy Saturday. So, Prisoner of Azkaban, third Harry Potter book in the series. It's kind of like a bit of a tipping point, I think, in this series, where things are starting to get a bit darker. You can tell that the kids are growing up a little bit. They're not little kids anymore. They're kind of teenagers, and they're growing up in the things that they can do, and they're just how they feel and their knowledge of the wizarding world, and it's so interesting, especially compared to the first two books. I think it really ramps it up a lot, just in terms of story and character and development, and lots of things just ramp it up a lot. I really love this book. I think it's the best one out of the three so far. I think each book just keeps getting better. I think maybe as J.K. Rowling kept developing this world more and carried on writing the series, I just think it gets better with every book that she wrote. So the story of The Prisoner of Azkaban, they find out about, like, the whole wizarding world is kind of crazy at the moment because there's Sirius Black, who is a murderer, is on the loose, and no one knows where he is. He has escaped from Azkaban, which is like the wizarding prison, and he is just roaming free and nobody knows where he is. People are terrified of him because of all of the accusations that he's just like a terrifying murderer. So it's all about Sirius, and you kind of... It's really weird because I forget how much everyone really hates him at this point. Like, he's just this terrifying murderer that people want Harry to stay away from, and it's obviously not until later that we start to get more character development with Sirius. I think Sirius is one of my favourite characters in the series, just in terms of character development. Like, his character develops so much, especially compared to a lot of the others. But yeah, throughout this book, until like kind of towards the end of the book, he's just this evil murderer that people need to try and keep Harry away from, because the kind of like Dumbledore and McGonagall and a few others know that Sirius Black is Harry's godfather. Harry doesn't know this at this point. He doesn't know that. He doesn't know that Sirius Black had anything to do with his dad. And yeah, there's just so much to learn about Harry's family. So you learn a lot about the Marauders. So Harry's dad, you get James, like the story of James, and how Sirius was friends with him, and then also how Lupin and Peter Pettigrew were also part of like the Marauders, and I want more about the Marauders. Like, it's always been a thing for so long that people would love to read more about the Marauders. I'd love to get more story of them. We get a little bit of their story in this, especially towards the end when all the stuff is going down like underneath the Whomping Willow, and you learn a lot about the Marauders then, and how Sirius and Lupin and Pettigrew kind of played such big parts in this. You learn a lot more about Harry's dad, and yeah, I think this book, if anything, is the best one so far, just for developments and learning a lot more about the characters and kind of what is to come. Like, it kind of sets up so much for what is to come in kind of future books. Another person I think has really developed in this compared to the previous two is Hermione. Hermione, I really like. The films did her dirty. They turned her into this kind of, I mean, later on she was a bit better, but even so, they still made her this kind of just flat, nerdy girl. Like, I feel like they didn't do her very much justice in the films. In the books, she's great. She's just so much better than she is in the films, as a lot of things are. I think you kind of forget how much the films gloss over a lot of things, and like until you read the books again. But Hermione, you get so much more of her character in this, and the first 2 books I feel like she's just kind of there as the token female friend, and in this one she really kind of comes into her own, and she's actually an important character for like one of the first times so far. She's kind of the whole catalyst for this book, really, like with everything that goes on with the Time Turner, and you see her trying to take a million different classes at once, and she's getting really stressed out, and then obviously she uses the Time Turner to help go and save Sirius. And if she wasn't in this, none of this story would have happened. So Hermione is like a central character in this book, and I love it. Like, I love getting more story about Hermione. I also think Hermione's kind of like her wish to try and learn everything is so relatable for fellow nerds, but it also teaches a really good lesson about how you shouldn't try to do everything at once. I relate to that so much. I so many times have, like, especially in the past few years, have just thought that I'm like Wonder Woman, and I'm just like, I can do everything. I have 10 million projects going on at once, and it's fine. I can just fit them all into my day. And the number of times I've come so close to burning out, or have completely burnt out, and I just kind of, I'm in a slump for ages where I don't want to do anything, is because I've just tried to do too many things at once. And I think Hermione trying to do that with her classes, she's trying to take every single class there is to take, and McGonagall is obviously trying her best to help with like giving her the Time Turner and things, but I think it teaches a good lesson where she just does get to a point where she is forgetting things and she's just a mess. And I feel you, Hermione. We're in this together, I feel you. But yeah, story-wise, it's just so much darker than the rest of the books. I love how we get, it's kind of, you see a lot more of the magic, and you see Harry learning to do a Patronus for the first time, and you kind of see the start of Harry actually being a gifted wizard, because in the first 2 books, it's kind of implied that he's like this super special wizard, and they think he's going to be amazing because of his parents, like how talented his parents were and whatever, but you don't actually see any evidence of him kind of being a talented wizard. Like, he is just kind of stumbling through his first couple of years of school. And then I think in this one is the first time that you start to see, my God, he is actually a talented wizard. Like, how many 13-year-old kids can actually do a successful Patronus? Like, not many. You see him teaching later on, when you get like Dumbledore's army, you see him actually then teaching other people to do a Patronus, and a lot of people are just kind of getting little tiny wisps out their wand, and by the time he's 13 is actually managing to conjure up a proper full Patronus and save someone's life. And I think it's just great. You start to actually see him be a good wizard, and like you see him actually kind of taking notice of things that he's learned, and you can kind of start to see for the first time that he does actually have this skill, like this talent like his parents had. And again, I think that's really good for setting up for the future books, because you know that, okay, he does actually have some promise and maybe he can defeat Voldemort, which obviously doesn't happen for a little while, but we at least get a little sign, a little promise that he might actually be good enough, because the first 2 books I don't think give us much hope that he has any skill. Oh, another person that I just love is Trelawney. I love Trelawney so much, and you get her in this too. Was she in this, or was she... Yeah, she is, because she's talking about the Grim, and then they see Sirius as a dog, and they're just like, it's the Grim. Trelawney I just love so much, and I was so happy that I got to kind of read about Trelawney again. I'd love to learn more about her. She's another one of those people that I'd love to see more of. Like, I'd love to just learn more about her story. And then obviously another person that we get in this who is just incredible is Lupin, and I love Lupin. I just love all the, I say I love all the Marauders. Maybe not, I don't love Peter Pettigrew. Peter Pettigrew can go, but the rest of them, however, are just great. I love them, but Lupin especially. I just love Lupin so much. I wish he could have stayed for longer. I kind of understand why he had to leave, but I just so wish he could have stayed in the school for Harry's whole time there, because he's just such a good support system. I know we see Lupin again later on, but I just wish he could have stayed as a teacher, because out of anyone, he is the best dark arts teacher. Like, he's just incredible. Like, he's actually like teaching them how to do things rather than reading from books. He is such a great teacher because he actually gets them up doing things, like with the boggart and things like that. And like, he's the one who teaches Harry about the Patronus. He is actually teaching them how to fight dark magic, and he's actually teaching them about the dark arts. He's probably the first teacher to have done this, rather than just like, let's just read a book. I just love how practical he is, and he's just such a good teacher, and I feel like all teachers need to be like Lupin. He is just incredible. So yeah, I just really love this book. I don't actually think I got anything bad to say about it. I love it so much. I love the film as well. It's one of the best films, just even with just how it's made, how it's directed, and like how dark it is, especially compared to the first two. It just suddenly flicks a switch on the darkness, and it just, you can tell that it's just setting up the darker atmosphere that we're gonna see in the books to come. I just love it so much. I love all the characters. I love reading more about the backstories of the characters, and I love finding out more about Harry and Hermione and the Weasleys, and I just love it so much. I just love it. So the next book is going to be The Goblet of Fire, which is the first kind of proper chunky book in the series. I've read 100 pages so far, and I've been in a reading slump for a while. With all the stuff going on recently, I've just been in such a slump. So I am going to get to this soon. I'm reading something else at the moment, but I want to come back to this soon. And I feel like my review for this might be a bit longer because I've been making notes as I've been reading it, because even just in the first 100 pages, I have had so many things to say about it. So I think it's not going to be as straightforward as The Prisoner of Azkaban, where I just loved it. Like, I just love everything about it. The Goblet of Fire, I do have some holes to pick, and I do have some, even just in the first bit that I've read. So yeah, if you want another review, that'll be coming, I don't know, hopefully soon, hopefully in a couple of weeks. But yeah, let me know what you think of The Prisoner of Azkaban. Do you think it's one of the best books in the series, or the best film as well? Can you think of anything bad to say about it that you might remind me of? Because at the moment, I can only think of all the really good things. But yeah, let me know what you thought, if you agree with anything that I've said, and I will see you soon with a new video. Oh no, actually, before I go, I just wanted to mention, tonight at like 8 o'clock UK time, I can't remember the other times, it's like the afternoon in the US, I am taking part in a live stream, which is super exciting. It's an Alice in Wonderland themed kind of murder mystery live stream, but instead of a murder, it's the mystery of who stole the Queen of Hearts jam tarts. It's been organised read by Jess, and it's going to feature a load of booktubers, all as different characters, and we all get a few minutes each on this live stream to kind of talk about why, like what we were doing at the time of the jam tarts being stolen, and everyone in the comments then has to kind of guess who they think it was. If you're interested in coming to join, it's going to be so much fun. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a couple of hours this evening. I'm going to be on the live stream at about 9 o'clock, 10 past 9, something like that. So yeah, come and watch. It's going to be so much fun. I'm looking forward to it. In terms of my own videos, I'll see you soon. Bye.